Recap of Episode 1. In the first episode of The Devil Screams, we followed Antoine, a young man with a fascination for mystery, as he became entangled in a dangerous web after a desperate woman named Diana sought his help on the shadowy streets of London. Diana entrusted Antoine with a jeweled casket, claiming it was a royal heirloom and that ruthless people were after her. As Antoine tried to protect her secret, he found himself the target of sinister forces and relentless strangers. Meanwhile, Damian Shaw, a skilled NCA officer, picked up the trail, investigating not only Diana's story, but also the decade-old murder of Lord Henry Ashford, a case complicated by Ashford's sudden return from the dead. As threads began to intertwine, a fire, a hospital visit, and mounting suspicions pushed all involved closer to the heart of a crime mystery with more questions than answers. Now, as Episode 2 begins, Damian and Antoine must unravel the truth before the shadows close in. Chapter 8. Antoine returned to his bungalow with Damian. Once inside, Antoine began drinking heavily, unable to hold back after the previous night's stress. Within minutes, he was lost in his thoughts, the alcohol fueling his theories. "I know what's going on," Antoine insisted, his voice hoarse. "Her father is alive, a deeply mysterious man." Damian cut him off. "Enough. Listen to me for once." But Antoine would not stop. He continued muttering to himself, convinced of his own deductions. He must know of a royal treasure. He probably even has a map. 10 years ago, dangerous people were after him, so he disappeared. After 4 years, he returned, lived quietly for 6 years, then the threats started again. This time, he staged his own death. And now, this jewel casket. It's all connected. The casket, the treasure, everything. Antoine's rambling grew more erratic. He paced, punching his own forehead, then abruptly turned to Damian. "What was I just saying?" he demanded. Damian, lost in his own thoughts, opened his eyes, irritated. "What is it?" Antoine, agitated, repeated his question, but Damian had no patience left. He stood up, glared at Antoine, and shoved him onto the sofa. "Enough. Get yourself together." Without another word, Damian left the bungalow, leaving Antoine alone in his turmoil. Chapter 9. A week had passed since Lord Henry's public return, causing a national sensation. The National Crime Agency faced only one question. If this man truly was Lord Henry, then whose body had been found in his bedroom 10 years ago? Ryan Blake was desperate for answers, but Damian remained silent and cryptic, revealing nothing. Ryan summoned Lord Henry and Edward to his office. Both arrived, tense and suspicious of each other. "Gentlemen, there's only one solution left," Ryan announced. Lord Henry replied, "Whatever it is, let's resolve this quickly." "The solution is to send you to jail," Ryan declared bluntly. Lord Henry challenged, "On what grounds?" Ryan explained, "If the dead man was Lord Henry, you're a fraud. If not, you're his murderer. The night you disappeared, a body was found in your room. Why did you vanish?" Lord Henry relented and began his story. He spoke of his love affair, a rival named Rupert Sinclair, and a shameful night when the woman left him for another. Humiliated, Lord Henry left the city in secret while his friend Simon Brooks visited. He suspected either Sinclair, seeking revenge, or perhaps Edward could have killed Simon, mistaking him for Lord Henry. Ryan pressed, "Who identified the body as Lord Henry?" Edward admitted, "I did, by the hands and feet." Lord Henry pointed out, "My face was destroyed, so your identification was accepted. That's exactly why the killer disfigured the body." Edward grew agitated, refusing to answer further without a lawyer. Lord Henry accused him of acting to secure his inheritance, but Edward denied all charges. Ryan ordered both men to remain at the mansion under surveillance. Damian made it clear, "If either of you tries to leave, you'll be stopped. For now, stay put and cooperate." That night, Damian moved through Limehouse, acting on a report that suspicious figures had been seen near Diana's house. He met his subordinate, codenamed Raven, and together they crept through the silent streets. The neighborhood was unusually quiet, even the dogs were still. Suddenly, Damian nearly stumbled over a dog's carcass. Moments later, shadowy figures appeared, 5 men moving stealthily near Diana's house. Damian and Raven prepared themselves as the men drew close. As the group tried to slip away, Damian managed to tackle and restrain one. Raven, flustered but determined, helped him bind the man. They turned on a torch and examined the captive. He was young, strong, and his harsh features suggested he was no stranger to violence. He wore a black suit. Chapter 10. An hour later, Damian was interrogating the man they had captured. "Why were you there?" Damian asked coldly. "I don't know," the man insisted. "You're not going to tell me." "I swear, sir, I'm not hiding anything. We were just standing outside. Only one of us went inside." "Who?" "Vincent Crane." "Who is Vincent Crane?" "I don't really know him. He claims to be a landlord somewhere. Says he's building a case against a rival and wants our help." The man went on. "Recently, we helped carry a funeral out of that house. But when we checked under the shroud, there were no remains. Just 3 buckets and a cauldron. It was a fake funeral." Damian's eyes narrowed. "Go on." "He paid us 4,000 rupees for these jobs. Once, he even sent us to a Frenchman's bungalow, told us to make a disturbance for a while and then leave. He never explains anything else." "What does Vincent Crane look like?" Damian asked. "Thick beard, wears shalwar and shirt, flat nose, muddy eyes, but he never wears dark glasses." "Names and addresses of your companions?" "I don't know them. We only meet when he calls us to a job. Otherwise, we're strangers to each other." "How does he contact you?" "By phone. None of us knows where he lives. I don't even know the others' numbers." Damian wrote down his statement, closed his notebook, and had the man sent to the lockup. Chapter 11. The evening sky was shrouded in heavy clouds, and by 11 o'clock the darkness was suffocating. There was no rain, only a thick, oppressive atmosphere. Inside the mansion, Edward was restless, haunted by anxiety. The recent police visit had left him shaken. Why wasn't the man claiming to be Lord Henry under arrest? Why were both he and the supposed Lord Henry confined to the house, watched by NCA officers? Edward paced back and forth, chain-smoking, trapped by fear and uncertainty. He knew the police now viewed him with suspicion, especially after Lord Henry had accused him of murder in Ryan's office. Exhausted, Edward collapsed on the sofa, trying to rest his troubled mind. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed through the garden. Alarmed, Edward rushed to the veranda, but the night was silent again, except for the low, tense barking of a few dogs. He tried to dismiss the noise as a trick of his mind, but it came again, louder and more menacing, as if 1,000 voices were screaming at once before falling silent. Dogs barked, and footsteps raced across the grounds. Servants rushed to Edward, panicked. He ordered them to arm themselves and sweep the grounds. At that moment, Lord Henry appeared in his nightrobe, rifle in hand. Accusations flew between uncle and nephew, each distrustful, each prepared to defend themselves at all costs. Servants, torches, and rifles in hand spread out into the garden with hunting dogs. But panic only increased as the mysterious sounds continued, seemingly coming from the sky, impossible to trace. The servants returned, terrified, insisting there was no one out there, only the relentless, inhuman noises. Edward resolved to investigate himself, determined to confront whatever haunted the estate. Chapter 12. Damian sat in his office, eyes closed, quietly chewing gum. He called for Raven, who entered and sat. "Give me last night's report," Damian ordered. Raven struggled to describe the chaos, shouts, disturbances, the persistent barking of black dogs, confusion and fear all night. "Speak clearly," Damian demanded. Raven, flustered, was dismissed. Damian called in Sam, who reported more of the same. Chaos, loud noises, and the visit of Lord Edward's courtesan around 6 in the morning. Damian cut him off, focusing only on relevant details. No one had entered or left the estate apart from her. Annoyed, Damian called Deputy Director Ryan. "Ryan, have your men reported anything useful?" Ryan was exasperated by the constant unrest and the endless accusations between Lord Henry and Edward. Both claimed the other was behind the terrifying noises, which seemed to come from the sky itself. Damian remained analytical. We've seen this before, Ryan. Sometimes what looks supernatural is human deception. Ryan wasn't so sure, but Damian was determined to find a rational explanation. With nothing further, Damian left Ryan's office, ready to confront the truth behind the chaos at the mansion. Chapter 13. Later that night, Edward, desperate for calm, drank heavily and wandered out onto the veranda, staring into the impenetrable darkness of the garden. It's just my imagination, he tried to reassure himself. But then he heard a sharp, chilling whisper. George! George! It seemed to come from the darkness itself, growing louder and more insistent until the name was being called through open weeping. Suddenly, gunshots shattered the night. Lord Henry's voice shouted defiance from somewhere in the darkness. I'll pick them off one by one. No one can frighten me. More shots rang out, followed by the haunting whisper again. George! And then the rage of Lord Henry. Come out, George's brat. The shooting continued. At that moment, someone began rattling the gate, and the firing stopped. Open the gate, it's the police, a voice shouted from outside. What's going on in there? Chapter 14. In Deputy Director Ryan's office, Lord Henry and Edward sat across from each other, both tense and hostile. Damian paced the room, his mind clearly working through the final pieces of the case. The atmosphere was thick with accusation and anticipation. Damian stopped and turned to Lord Henry. Why did you fire your gun within city limits last night? Lord Henry, still agitated, deflected. Wouldn't you have done the same, Damian? I'm not a coward. Damian was unmoved. You were firing into the air, Lord Henry. It's time for the truth. Tell us again about the night you disappeared, beginning with your friend Simon Brooks. Lord Henry's face darkened as he tried to remember. Simon Brooks came the night I left. He didn't know my plan. While he was asleep, I slipped out. I never told him or anyone what I intended. Damian pressed him. If Simon Brooks was the victim, why was he found in your sleeping suit? The killer realized his mistake and dressed him as me, Lord Henry replied. But Damian wasn't convinced. If your rival made that mistake, why make it obvious? Who benefited from the body being identified as Lord Henry? Edward, frustrated, slammed his fist on the table. You're trying to frame me as the murderer. Damian silenced him with a glare and continued. What kind of man was Simon Brooks? Brooks had no fixed address, always drifting. He never spoke of family. Edward interrupted again. The servants also identified the body. They worked for my uncle for years. Lord Henry turned to Damian, voice rising. Once Edward identified the body, why would servants contradict him and risk the police? And where are those loyal servants now, Edward? Damian nodded. A fair question. Edward's frustration grew. So now you want to seize my property and get me hanged as well? Damian's tone was serious. Are both things impossible, Edward? Sometimes it seems I'm trying to save you. Other times, I wonder if you realize how close you are to the gallows. Before Damian could continue, Lord Henry insisted, no one here will be bribed. Justice will be done. Damian corrected him. Justice is decided in court. Our job is to present the truth, and now I will decide whose neck is closest to the noose. Damian rang the bell. The orderly entered and was instructed to bring Diana. Silence fell as the tension mounted. Diana was led in, trembling. Damian faced her gently. What was your father's name? George, she replied, barely above a whisper. Damian turned to Lord Henry. You are charged with fraud, murder, and attempted murder. You killed this girl's father, your lookalike, George, 10 years ago. You disappeared for 4 years, then returned and assumed his identity, deceiving even his daughter. You used her to trick Antoine, selling him a fake jewel casket and pocketing the money. The real casket is still with you. Ryan finally spoke. How did you uncover all this? Damian explained. Doctor. Martin Middleton, a close friend of George's, told me everything. When I found him in Harbin, he'd been stabbed but survived. For his safety, I had news of his death published. He revealed the truth. George, a blockmaker, was murdered by Lord Henry for his resemblance. I verified the story with an old official magazine. George's photo as blockmaker matches the man everyone mistook for Lord Henry. Lord Henry protested. "This is a conspiracy. You have no real evidence. Any photo can be faked. Besides, the girl said the man she knew had a beard. I had a beard once, and there are plenty of photos of me with it." Damian replied, "When you burned documents at George's house, the key evidence survived. The real proof is in my possession." Lord Henry tried to hide his anxiety. Damian pressed on. George's work as a blockmaker put his image in official records. "I found the original, proof you could never destroy." Ryan asked, "Why go to such lengths? Why stage all this?" Damian answered, "If George's murder had been linked to you, your position and inheritance would have been threatened. You tried to erase every trace." Finally, Damian confronted Lord Henry. "And last night, when you fired your gun at the voices calling for George, that was my doing. I placed microphones and speakers in the garden, broadcasting a ghostly program. You weren't fighting spirits, Lord Henry. You were fighting the truth." Lord Henry was speechless, defeated by Damian's relentless investigation and evidence. As the last pieces of the mystery fell into place and the shadow of Lord Henry's crimes were dragged into the harsh light of truth, Damian's voice lingered, a reminder that sometimes the greatest horrors wear a human face. The devil's screams had finally been silenced, but for Antoine, Diana, and all those touched by the darkness, the echoes would remain long after the case was closed. If you enjoyed unraveling the secrets and suspense of the devil's screams, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thrilling stories just like this. Hit the like button, share this episode with your friends, and let us know in the comments what mystery you want to solve next. Your support keeps the darkness at bay and helps us bring even more chilling tales to life. See you in the next case.